Food is a great way to create bridges because when people are interested in the other country's food, then they slowly, step by step, through food, they're going to learn more about the geography, about the people there, about the culture, about the language. 大家好，我是光坛。大家好，我是光坛。大家好，我是光坛。My name is Corentin Delcroix. Chinese name is Corentin. I'm a French chef, been living in China for 17 years now. And I'm doing mainly two things. One is doing food R&D, so creating new products for different brands. And the other one is sharing some content on Chinese social media. I was born in the north of France, a family of 6 overall. So when I first came to China was in 2002 and was to study business. So I did a university in France, a business school, which is like 2 years in France and 3 years abroad. I chose to go to China. Since I didn't know much about China, food was also a good way to understand a bit more about the different regions, different styles of cuisine in China. So loved Chinese food at that time, and then I started to study a bit Chinese food, to learn a bit of Chinese cooking with the lady that was doing the cleaning in the dormitory. I asked her if she could teach me a few dishes. So we went to the market together, bought some ingredients, went back and started with some very, very basic Chinese dishes. She taught me how to cook them, and that's kind of what started my passion for food. And so I chose to change path and then to go back to France to properly study cooking in a cooking school back in France. And then in 2010 there was the Shanghai Expo, so I left France, left the work I had in France, and went to work in the restaurant in 2010 during the Shanghai Expo. After that I opened a consulting company, so now we're doing product development. So the online we started a bit more than 3 years ago, because working in consulting, as I said, like we get the consumer brief, our client's brief, then maybe we're going to come up with 50 different ideas. But in the end, like the product that are going to be launched, maybe there's just 1, 2. Our thought was, okay, it's too bad to waste those 48 ideas that we thought were some good ideas. So why not start to share those ideas on social media? 主要的元素组成的。那第一个当然最重要就是 When I started to share some Chinese, like me cooking Chinese, I was a bit afraid that everybody was, okay, that's not authentic, foreigner, they can't cook Chinese. I was a bit afraid there would be that kind of feedback, but in the end it's quite the opposite. Everybody's very encouraging and the comments are very positive. So when I do something they think is well done, then it's a lot of encouragement. Okay, you're doing great. When I do something maybe wrong in the recipe, a lot of people are gonna give me some advice, like saying, okay, you should have done like that. It's better to use that product instead of that one. And so it's I learn a lot from the comment also. For a lot of French people, when you cook some authentic Chinese food, it's kind of a discovery for them. And I think a lot of them, at least in my family and in my friends, a lot of them are very eager to learn some Chinese, whether it is making dumplings or doing some 炒土豆丝, shredded potato or anything. They are very eager to learn more about those dishes. Chinese food has huge potential in going global, and especially ingredients-wise, ingredients and some techniques, because there's a lot of things in the West, a lot of new ingredients that we don't have in the West, we don't even know about, most of the people don't know about. And Western chefs, they're always, especially in the fine dining area, always eager to discover some new ingredients, to be able to work with some new techniques, new flavors. A lot of ingredients that we take for granted nowadays, but no matter in Chinese cooking or in French cooking, like half of the ingredients we use are not native from our country. So it's all coming from abroad, so all this ingredient exchange is something that's always been taking place since human beings have been traveling around. So in France we're using star anise, we're using eggplant, all those came from China. If in China you're using a chili, it came from South America. So all those exchanges are always constantly taking place. And I think now, yeah, a lot of Chinese ingredients are making their way in the fine dining world. So for example, the Sichuan pepper is one example. It's becoming trendy because of its refreshing and numb taste. It's something very new for the Western palate. But I think it's interesting to see that French people are using it in a very different way. Some desserts, like using it with chocolate, or those kind of pairing, which are not some traditional pairings. So I think it's interesting to see how a different country will use the same product in a very different way. I think it's very exciting. I think for me the only way to improve is just to share a lot of things, create a lot of exchange. Sharing what I learned with some Chinese friends, with some Chinese chefs, what I learned in Chinese cuisine, going to share it in Europe or in the West. I think that can create that bridge and that bond between the different countries. And I think food is a great way to create those bridges, because when people are interested in the other country's food, then they slowly, step by step, through food, they're gonna learn more about the geography, about the people there, about the culture, about the language, all those kind of things. And I think that's a first step, like a first brick to start to build a house and where everybody can exchange and can understand more about each other.